my channel, Pit Motoring TV. If you don't know already, my name's Eddie and it's great to have you here again. Now, in today's review, we're going to be having a look at something that Toyota does very, very well. And it's two things they do really well. A bit like Mr. Kipling's, the way that they nail them puddings every time and make them super delicious. Today's review, we're going to be checking out their new Toyota Yaris Cross. Now, the two things that Toyota are really good at is one, SUVs, and two, hybrids. Now, they've been making hybrids for years and they are excellent and they've really perfected them. So, this sounds good. I just wanted to say thank you to Joe down at Vantage Toyota in Scarborough. I'll pop their website link in the description below if you wanted to check out more details, and obviously find their contact details to give them a ring or drop them an email. So thank you again to Vantage Toyota. So let's crack on with the review. Now, the Yaris Cross, it's pretty simple in the lineup really. There's 5 trims available and there's only one engine option, and that is the same that you get in the Yaris Super Mini, which, to be fair, is a great little engine. It's a 1.5 litre 3-cylinder hybrid. Puts out 114 brake horsepower, does 0 to 60 in 11.2 seconds in this Yaris Cross. But with Toyota's renowned reliability, I mean, they have a high reputation for how reliable their cars are. In this Yaris Cross, with this hybrid setup, you can easily see 60 plus miles to the gallon. I mean, it even won What Cars Award for most fuel efficient. I mean, it's better than a lot of its diesel rivals, a lot of its petrol rivals. It's just a really good system. Now, the Yaris Cross, unlike its rivals, yes, it is front wheel drive, but there is a 4-wheel drive option available. Now, on the higher spec, the Dynamic and Premier, you do have the option of 4-wheel drive. Now, that does come at a cost, and it's an extra premium of around £2,500-ish quid. But to be fair, unless you live on a farm, you're generally going to be going somewhere where it's slippery when wet, in more ways than one. I don't think you'd need it, and to be fair, with the extra motor at the back, obviously to help propel the rear wheels, you do lose 70 litres of boot space, and it's not as efficient as the front wheel drive. So, if anything, the front wheel drive is more than capable. Now, with 5 trims available in the Yaris Cross, starting from Icon, working its way all the way up to Premier. The one that I'm in today is obviously mid-range. This is the XL, and this is the additional City Pack. They're all really well equipped. They come with a standard Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. They come with adaptive cruise control, autonomous emergency braking, blind spot monitoring. It's all the safety equipment that you need. And to be fair, unless you want in certain options such as the 4-wheel drive, the upgraded JBL sound system, I wouldn't really recommend going for obviously the higher spec models such as the Dynamic and the Premier, because that's when they start getting a little bit pricey. I mean, they're over 27 grand. And to be fair, compared to its rivals at that sort of money, you get a lot more from the others. Whereas mid-range up to XL, they're really well priced. The Icon comes in at just over 23 grand, and you get a lot of kit for your money, and you get a great car for your money. Driving wise, it drives really nicely, to be fair. It's very, very similar to the Yaris. I mean, I drove that a couple of months back. If you want to check that out, I'll pop a little banner out. It'll either be up there or up there. I'm not quite sure where. But yeah, if you want to check that review out, go ahead and give it a watch. But it rides very similar. The suspension setup is quite stiff, but it's not stiff where it's uncomfortable. It is a very comfortable car to drive. The seats are really comfortable. So there's a lot of adjustability in the seat and the steering wheel, so you're bound to get that perfect driving position. Now, as for the suspension, like I said, it doesn't really compromise the ride. It's not uncompromised. It's actually really, really nice, and it handles well. There's not to say it's jacked up compared to the Yaris. Running on the same platform, it doesn't wallow in the bends. There's not a lot of body roll. Obviously, there's some that's to be expected, but it doesn't roll around like you're a bit pissed and you're carrying a ball of jelly. Now, engine wise, like I mentioned, it does get a little bit noisy when you put your foot down. It's not as loud as some that I've been in, but one thing I have noticed, there is a little bit of wind noise when you're up to speed on a dual carriageway or national speed limit or even a motorway. You do get a little bit of wind noise. Road noise wise, it's pretty quiet, which is quite good. Now, engine wise, it's not the fastest. I mean, the ability for it to zip around town with the little boost from that electric motor, it's an absolute doddle and an absolute dream, and it works perfectly around town. So obviously the school run, shopping, whatever you're going to be doing, it handles perfectly well. Now, I mean, it does 0 to 60 in 11.2 seconds. It only has a little 114 brake horsepower, but still, it doesn't feel slow. Obviously, it's not going to break any speed records or anything like that. And obviously, driving it enthusiastically for the sort of car it is, you're not going to do it very often. But it's more than capable of managing motorway speeds and getting up to those sort of speeds. So, let's find somewhere to park it up. We'll take a look around the outside and see what the new Yaris Cross looks like. The new Toyota Yaris Cross is really up against it in a really strong class. Now, there's a fair few competitors, such as Ford's Puma, Peugeot 2008, Renault Captur, Vauxhall's Mocha, even Nissan's Duke. But in such a strong lineup, how does the new Yaris Cross compare? So, let's check out and see what it has to offer. Now, the Yaris Cross sits on the same underpinnings as the Yaris Super Mini, but look at it, it's a lot bigger. Now, it has a higher ride height, it is 20mm wider, and it's 240mm longer, which obviously gives it that more SUV appearance and makes it a lot more roomier inside and gives it more practical space, which we will take a look at and see how practical the Yaris Cross is very shortly. Now, the Yaris doesn't particularly look very Yaris-like. It does have a Yaris-y rear end. Yes, I did say Yaris-y, you heard that right. But the styling towards the front, it's more taken with the styling and design of the RAV4 in mind. Obviously with the shallower grille and the headlights. Now, if you ask me, it looks really smart. It's quite a bold exterior, but it's not undecisive. It's not going to upset many people with angular lines and sharp design. It's not going to split any opinions. So let's check out the boot. Do have electrically operated boot. There is the option for the kick of the boot. Now, practicality wise, it's actually very good. You get 397 litres of space in the boot of the Yaris Cross. Now, that's bigger than the Mocha, but it's smaller than Peugeot's 2008, but it's still very practical. Now, with relatively no load lift, which I'll obviously demonstrate with one of my camera bags, there's generally no load lip there at all, which is really, really good. Now, on the higher trim models, you do get a 40-20-40 split rear seats, which obviously folded flat gives you a really nice flat loading area and offers you over 1,000 litres of space. You have a few tethering hooks in the boot here. Underneath you have some underfloor storage, but what I really like about the Yaris Cross is the versatility of the floor. You have a split rear floor, so you can have it adjusted to how you like it, and obviously to suit, which is really, really good, and obviously means it's just that little bit extra practical. Now, up front here, you will notice that the interior up front especially is very Yaris-like. The dash is pretty much the same as the Yaris Super Mini, albeit a little bit plain, but like with any Toyota, they use really nice materials. Like you get nice soft materials up here and here. There's only scratching materials towards the bottom of the doors, but everything's simple, and like all Toyotas, it's put together well and it's sturdy and it'll last the test of time. Now, In the lower spec trims, you do get an 8-inch infotainment screen, and from the XL and up to Premier, it comes with a 9-inch infotainment screen with sat nav. Now, it sits nice and high up the dash. It's got some shortcut buttons, which is always really good to see. But obviously, I've always found Toyota's system a little bit clunky. In this one today, obviously Joe mentioned that it has what they call a city pack. It adds a couple of different extras, but it downgrades the infotainment screen to an 8-inch. So in this XL model, we have the 8-inch screen, but with the city pack, we get things like the panoramic camera, obviously grid lines on your reversing camera, and just a various few little options, which is a decent pack, but obviously it's got to be to your taste and preference. Now, as for the infotainment system, it's okay, it's easy to use, it's easy to maneuver between the different menus, DAB, your sat nav, various other little aspects like that, but I just find it a little bit clunky. But with Android Auto and Apple CarPlay as standard, it's not that much of a big negative really, because obviously I find it a lot easier to use Android Auto myself. From underneath, we have a nice little storage tray at the top. You've got a digital climate control screen. Now, with this as well, which is really good to see, you have all your little buttons at the bottom and physical dials, which it's just a lot easier. I find it a massive faff when it's all digital and controlled through either little digital buttons or on the infotainment screen. Now, we do have heated seats in the front here and a heated steering wheel, which the button for the heated steering wheel, funnily enough, it's not on the dash here or up here, it's actually down here. Bit of an odd place to put it, but obviously it's there. You do get a USB charging port and a 12-volt socket. You get a nice tray up here that's ideal for your phone. Couple of cup holders, centre armrest, nice little tray in the top, but not much storage there. The door bins are quite small. I mean, they're big enough for a bottle of drink, but other than that, you're not going to squeeze much more in them. In the glove box, it's an okay size. You get the so you can fit the service manual in there and your box with your locking wheel nuts. But yeah, everything's really nice. The digital driver's display is really crisp, clear graphics, albeit a bit plain, but it works really well. It's easy to read. You have your digital driver information in the middle. On the left, you've got obviously a little analog gauge for obviously your charging, your eco and things like that. And then on the right, you've got your fuel gauge and temperature gauge. So another thing is these seats. Now, half leather, half cloth. I don't think it's real leather, but it's really nice. I like how the design of them. Obviously with these little bits to support your shoulders a little bit more, but they're not really buckety where they hug you too tight, and they're actually really comfortable with really nice materials. So, and in the back, and see what we're working with back there in the Yaris Cross. Now, in the back, it's really practical as well. One thing I would have liked is if the doors opened a little bit wider. I know I've got one of those Joey 360 car seats for my youngest daughter. Now, getting that in and out, with the way the door opens, it'll be a bit tight, but the ISOFIX points on either outer seat are really easily accessible. Obviously just makes it that little bit easier to fit them. It's just a matter of manoeuvring your seat in the car. Now, space wise in the back, it's pretty good. I mean, knee room is okay. Headroom I'm quite surprised with. I've got plenty of headroom. So I mean, I'm 5'10", this seat's in my driving position. So I mean, even for taller 6 foot grown-ups, or if you've got a teenager that's really tall, they're going to be okay back here in relative comfort. Now, the only thing missing is there's no USB charge points back here, and then obviously in the middle we have no armrest. But with the 40-20-40 split rear seats, we can fold the seat down, and underneath this there is a couple of cup holders. Now, to me, it's not a bad idea, but it's, if it'll go back, just a bit of a faff, if I'm honest with you. I mean, I do like an armrest, and sometimes if I do travel in the back of a friend's car or family's car, obviously it's always nice to have, but it's just a little bit faffy. And obviously with the way this is, it's in a bit of a pain, it don't want to go back up. There we go, sorted. Now that that's done. But yeah, I mean, even back here it's practical, so as an everyday family car, it's going to suit you really, really well. So overall, on a whole, the Yaris Cross is a really good little SUV. I mean, it's practical, it's versatile, it drives nice, it looks good, makes a really good all-round small family SUV. Now, price-wise, compared to its competitors, I mean, such as the hybrid Ford Puma, the Renault Captur E-Tech, it's well priced. It's in there with them, and I must admit, it will probably give it a bit of competition. But I mean, it's a good strong contender in the segment of the small SUVs. Now, that's it for this week's review with the Yaris Cross. If you like this video, go ahead and give it a like, give it a thumbs up. If you're not already, why not consider subscribing? If you like new and used car reviews and car content, then go ahead and subscribe. Why not turn them notifications on, and then you know exactly when we have another upload, so you don't miss one. So thanks again to Joe down at Vantage Toyota Scarborough. Now, if you all would, go ahead and give Vantage Motor Group a follow over on social media. I'll pop all their social media on the screen. Yeah, they share some decent content. It's nice to get involved with the dealer. But yeah, also I've popped the website for Vantage Toyota in the description below. So go ahead and check out what offers they've got on if you are interested in looking at buying a new Toyota. So hope you're all keeping well. I shall see you in the next one. So from me, Sithy.